Things aren't going so well between Western men and women, Jean Baudrillard says, in The Perfect Crime and Seduction, his major analyses of current straight relations, an analysis otherwise known as the sweet nothings of the world's best mansplain. But he has tips to help improve our romances, whose highlights I will summarize in what I hope will be a useful and practical video. Dating tips from Baudrillard. 1. The Asymmetric Secret.
The sexes eye each other up, squint out through each other's eyes. Where do we find passion now?
Men are from Mars and women are from Venus, we're told. We're different, but similarly different. You're a little bit blue, I'm a little bit pink. But since women's liberation, we all exist in the same shape, across the same playing field. We have the same rights and destinies. We blend and merge into each other across a spectrum. We are symmetrical. Not for Baudrillard. He isn't a fan of woman as the projective resurrection of the self-same, the twin-like, incestuous figures that we've become. We are sliding from ecstasy to mestasis, he warns, because we're forgetting that the differences between male and female are vast and asymmetrical, cannot be liberated. We aren't different, we are other, unequal, alien to each other.
The feminine is not opposed to the masculine, but plays with the masculine, somewhere beyond sexual difference.
And that's the joy of life, Baudrillard says. Being so different means that when male and female come together, we wipe each other out, we lose ourselves, which is good. Connecting with something really other forces us to go beyond our identities. And wiping each other out is good because it is the secret truth that we all know. The world is nothing, we come from nothing, nothing really exists in real time, especially our identities. It's all a bunch of crock ending in death, whose only possible consolation comes from chiming that truth in connection beyond words with each other. A connection that our lying culture commodifies and cookie cuts from us today.
For the secret never lies in the equivalent exchange of desires under the sign of egalitarian difference. It lies in inventing the other, who will be able to play on and make sport of my own desire, defer it, suspend it, and thus arouse it indefinitely.
Guys, remember, hygiene is important. If you're returning to the dating scene after a long sabbatical, trim your nose hairs.
2. Inherent female privilege. What's the inherent difference, the inequality between men and women, according to Baudrillard? First, women grow up with the potential to give birth, with all the magic, purpose, connection, and backdoor routes to immortality that entails. Second, men are vulnerable to the beauty of bodies, male and female bodies, in a way that women just aren't, despite all the Chippendale calendars and Cosmo centerfolds. Men get off on bodies, and women get off on experiencing the power that their bodies have over other bodies. That's a power imbalance with a massive potential for abuse. Poor men. No wonder they've tried to tell us that we're dumb and docile and monogamous and less sexual and inherently powerless. No wonder they've rewritten history to tell us that women never had any power at all until our recent liberation. So we're shocked, for example, to read that the Druids that Julius Caesar fought in Anglesey in 60 AD were mainly women. It's no wonder men have hated us and used their greater physical strength to build the modern world of production as a phallic fortress against us, to try to control us and our bodies and make us forget the power of our privilege by projecting their own hysteria into our motives.
The cost of total disenchantment, we would enjoy a total immunity.
And men have erections, definite physical proof of the power that somebody has over them. That's the third part of our privilege. Women can keep it vague.
Ladies, dating a new man gives you the opportunity to change your look. Why not show up wearing a leather jacket and a lacy t-shirt? Or a 14th century coat hardie? He won't know it's not the real you. Have fun with it.
3. The turn of the hand. Keeping it vague and ambiguous, not wholly buying into reality, is women's great asset.
The immense privilege of the feminine, the privilege of having never acceded to truth or meaning, and of having remained absolute master of the realm of appearances.
Being master of the realm of appearances may seem like meagre gruel compared to being the master of the realm of reality, as Baudrillard says men are. But for Baudrillard, appearance, the void, the knowledge that things aren't in fact real and set as we pretend they are, that the only things we can actually be sure about are death and uncertainty, is the deep, true fact about the world. As we all secretly know, the truth that always upturns everything else and seduces us. For Baudrillard, this seduction's got nothing to do with rouge and lace, and everything to do with playing with the world, stepping back from the world.
Nothing can be greater than seduction itself, not even the order that destroys it. Seduction has no power of its own, only that of annulling the power of production, but it always annuls that.
This advice can seem perverse, wrong, insulting to very real horrors. But
no one has ever been dispossessed of the power associated with seduction. Yes, women have been dispossessed of their bodies, their desires, happiness, and rights, but they have always remained mistresses of this possibility of eclipse, and so have always been capable of eclipsing the power of their masters.
And to those good apostles who say, you aren't going to discredit reality in the eyes of those who already find it difficult enough to get by and who surely have a right to reality and the fact that they exist. You aren't going to discredit feminist and egalitarian demands in the eyes of all those who haven't even heard of women's rights. Baudrillard is hardcore.
Underlying these charitable intentions is a profound contempt, in crediting people with placing their hope only in the visible proofs of their existence. By imputing this plaster saint realism to them, one takes them for naive and feeble-minded.
Yes, men may have built and be running our whole entire current world. They may be richer, stronger, more powerful. They may be better than women. They may abuse their position. But all that can be upturned in one instant by a simple hand gesture from women, Baudrillard tells us.
The capacity imminent to seduction to deny things their truth and thereby foil all systems of power and meaning by a mere turn of the hand.
Are you dating an impoverished millennial who is unsure of the protocol around when to go Dutch and when he should pay? Why not solve the problem by doing something that's totally free, like going to the park and playing frisbee golf, or spending the afternoon casing the luxurious homes of those boomers who don't deserve such things?
4. The power of tables. We should feel sorry for Western men, Baudrillard shows us. Their neurotic quest for a defense against this hand gesture has led them to simulate reality, to make themselves the all-powerful subjects obsessed at all costs with ruling objects, people and things. And where has this great project left them? In our indifferent world of mass production and simulacra that reflects back the
eccentric, paradoxical, paranoid and tiresome masculine state.
In our world of too many objects than we know what to do with, where actual physical things themselves, tables for example, take their revenge on their masters by glowering back, objects thumbing their noses at us with tiny, ironic glimmer. At least tables have a job to do, a real purpose, Baudrillard says, and they may yet take over from us in the end. In this confused, ill-made world, that means that a table has more power than your average Western man. At least it has a use.
In order to succeed on Tinder and other dating apps, it's important to use photos that don't expose the truth about your desperate situation. Go back through your timeline and find pre-COVID photographs where you don't look terribly unhappy in a social setting. You might even find a photograph where you're smiling at another human being.
5. What men want. What Western men secretly want, Baudrillard says, is to become objects themselves, to be penetrated, put to use, relieved of responsibility at last. to search for things unaffected by their project they've imprisoned us all in, to be taken back to the attraction of the void.
Don't forget to use the ZeroBooks coupon code when you're ordering your favorite sex toys from monstercock.com. Strap-ons, dildos, and vibrating eggs are all half off if you type Zero Love before ordering.
6. Playing with death is better than sex. How very capitalistic and production-based Baudrillard shows us to think that sex is the thing when it is just a disenchanted form of seduction.
A culture that produces everything, makes everything speak, everything babble, everything climax. In the absence or denial of the orgasm, superior intensity is possible. There is something stronger than passion, illusion. There is something stronger than sex or happiness, the passion for illusion.
Sex is part of nature, and we must not trust nature.
One must rid oneself of the idea that all happiness derives from nature, and all pleasure from the satisfaction of a desire.
Nature wants us to procreate, like animals do, but we have built a more complex culture than other animals. We are, perhaps, more aware. And this awareness of where we are and where nature is taking us is pretty bleak. How much more charged to use awareness and attraction as a game, where, locked in with another like-minded participant, we duck out of the real world to toy with what nature and the real world want from us.
An ironic alternative form that breaks sex and provides space, not of desire, but of play and defiance. We seduce with our death, our vulnerability, and with the void that haunts us. The secret is to know how to play with death.
Guys, it's important to keep it light when you're starting out. Tell her a joke or a story, but don't tell her about your rough childhood or your secret fears. And for God's sake, don't start blubbering again like you did last time.
7. Don't do it. The best relationships these days, Baudrillard says, are never consummated, are never even acknowledged in words. The purest thrills are to be found in the seduction of the eyes.
Where looks alone join in a sort of duel, an immediate intertwining, unbeknownst to others. A single subtle instant, as in a stroke of wit, the sealing of an indestructible pact amongst the participants. Once the delightful tension of the gaze gives way to words or loving gestures, the intensity declines.
Today's biggest kink is called edging, and the kinkiest, most ultimate version of edging would be to avoid all contact with the man or woman of your dreams forever. Just hold it all in. Can you make it to the grave?
8. Don't settle. We must not fall for the cold seduction of our current twinned, cloned, incestuous, screen-based reality of egalitarian difference and simulation. That's a given. But, above all, in the face of overwhelming message and tech, we mustn't give up. We must not settle.
Existence is something we must not consent to. It has been given to us as a consolation prize, and we must not believe in it.
And we must fight back. We must be passionate. Once there was value and style in detachment, but no more.
Now, what good is it being passionless in a world without passion, or detached in a world without desire? This reconciliation of all antagonistic forms in the name of consensus and conviviality is the worst thing we can do.
And how do we do that? Like all great dating guides, Baudrillard has his rules.
The absolute rule is to give back more than we were given. Never less, always more.
We mustn't settle. We mustn't give up hope of the fellowship of the void. We should deal with relationships as Baudrillard suggests we deal with radical thought.
Promote a clandestine trade in ideas, of all inadmissible ideas, of unassailable ideas, as the liquor trade had to be promoted in the 1930s.
Or something like that. Oh, and one more thing. What's really important for women to understand, and I mean it's really absolutely crucial.
If you enjoyed this video, you might enjoy my novel Twice, coming from Zero Books in June 2021.